Okay, welcome back to this Let's Code series where we are programming our very own password manager. And this is version 1.4. We are cracking through the versions here. So last time we had a really successful time in implementing a few different things around the program, and now it really feels like an actual application. It's when we run the program and go through it, we can create a user, we can save passwords to that user, and now we can retrieve that user's passwords. They're all encrypted. The user data is encrypted. It's all working as it should be. So what I want to do today is kind of tidy up our code where there are some holes in it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is what I ended last version doing, and that is this idea: copy generated password to user clipboard. So when we come into here, and if I just quickly log in as, does Bob still exist? Yeah, he does. If I generate a password, let's say it's 10 characters, I'd really like that. I'd really like to just be able to press Control V or just right click and paste. No, I can't paste into here. I'd really like to just come into here and be able to just instantly paste. I've got no paste option here because I've got nothing on my clipboard. I'd really like to be able to just paste that without having to select it, right? It's just on my clipboard. And so we're going to jump into our generator. Also, I noticed repl.it, in case if you did know this and you've been like, ugh, what a noob, then I apologize. But if you click on these little three dots here, you can press open tab and it will open these in tabs. And so you don't have to keep going back to the file explorer. Super helpful. So I'm just going to open all of these in tabs so we can jump between them today, and I can keep this closed. Generator, authentication, story. Okay, lovely. So now I can just jump up here. Lovely. Okay, so if we go to our generator.py file, and if we come down here to generate password, this is where we're going to do it, right? So down here, password equals shuffle password, and then we're going to copy that password to the user's clipboard. Now, in order to do this, we are going. Well, I'm going to. If you find a better way to do it, fine, use that. I'm going to use the paperclip library here, and there's a little example usage here. We import the library, and then we literally say paperclip.copy, and then we put in a string here in order to copy to the clipboard. So it's nice and simple. I'm just going to. I don't even need to copy those two lines because I can remember it. I'm sure I can. So we're going to import paperclip up here. Now, if you are doing this on something that isn't repl.it, you'll probably need to install paperclip using the these commands here in the command line. Okay, that's the subject of another video. I'm not going to go into it now, but if you are using repl.it, it will just install it for you and it will be fine. So we're going to say import paperclip, and then we're going to come down to here, and we are going to say paperclip dot copy, and we are going to pop our password in. Now, when we run this, I'm just going to stop the program from running. Now, when I press run to begin with, it will probably install paperclip. Let's watch and see. There we go. We can see it installing paperclip now because it's not a library that's standard with Python. It needs installing. So that's installed now, and we might see it in our files here. You can see, and now when I open my files, I've got some packager files, and there are some things down here. That's because we've imported some external, that's a word, for some external libraries like paperclip. Well, we've one external library, paperclip. So I should be able to log in as Bob now. And I'm going to absolutely lose my mind if this works first. I've not even tried, I've not tested this. I just Googled it very quickly just now. So let's do a 20-character password. Okay, didn't like that. Did not like that. Okay. It just, okay, yeah. Paperclip.copy. Okay, it's gone really wrong. Okay, so that's, if that worked for you, great. It did not work for me. I'm just going to refresh my page, and I'm just going to try it. Maybe it just needed a little refresh. I'll try it one more time. I'm not going to debug this. I'm not going to spend ages debugging this. This is updating. Maybe this is necessary. Okay, let's try it again then. Password 1. Yeah, it's not working. Okay, I will explore this and come back to it. But that's kind of the gist of all we need, really. Copy into the clipboard isn't like a difficult thing. Oh, it shouldn't be. So, oh, I've lost all my tabs. So it should be relatively straightforward to find something that actually works. I just need to improve my Googling. Okay, so if we've got authentication generator storage, let's open up main. And what have I not got? Helper. Okay, right, let's do some actual programming. So let's just remove this from generator, this line. I'm going to comment this out, piperclip.copy, and we will figure out why that is not working. I don't think I'm doing anything silly. So who knows? So we'll comment these out. Okay, now there is a big problem with our program at the moment, and that is that when we create an account, we're not checking to see whether that account already exists. And so if I was to press 2 and create an account, I can now create a new account with the username of Bob and set a new password. Let's just put in hello, okay? And now I've got 2 accounts with the username of Bob. And this could be quite confusing, right? Especially as we're using the username hash. If we come into the users.txt here, there is now 2 hashes that are exactly the same. You can see when I double click and highlight that, it highlights the other one to show that they're the same thing. And so this is not good. We can't have 2 username. We can't have 2 people with the same username in our system. So we need to update when we create our user. We need to make sure that we are checking to see if it's available before we let them create that. So get hashed credential. Okay, so here, this is where we're going to be, this is where we're getting the input from the user, right? So we get our hashed credentials, we get our hashed username, and now we need to check that the username doesn't already exist, okay? So let's say user already exists equals check user hashes, okay? And we'll pass in that username hash. What am I doing? I'm writing a brand new function, check user hashes, okay? I'll put an underscore there. And so we're going to write that, and that's going to check whether the user already exists, okay? And if it does already exist, then we can say if user already exists, then we're going to do something else. We will do this. Or will we? Or maybe we'll do a while loop, right? Because we want to go round, we want to keep going round, actually. So yeah, we will probably want to say user already exists. We don't want an if, we want a while. So we'll say, what will we say? We'll say our user already exists equals true. And while our user already exists, we are going to, I could put equals true there. I'm not going to because I don't have to. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So user already exists equals true. While user already exists, we're going to print this title. We're going to get this hashed credential, and we're going to check whether this username hash is currently stored. If it's as soon as it's not stored, we're going to pop out of here, and we're going to go into this section here. Okay, so this should work nicely now. What we just need to do is implement this function, right? Check user hashes, because this doesn't actually exist. I just made it up off the top of my head. And so we need to actually tell Python what this does. When I say check user hashes, what do I actually do? So this is what you do, Python. So talking, man talks to programming language in a room on his own in the evening. Okay, so we're going to check our user hashes, and we're going to be given a what should we call it? I want to say target. Target's not really. Let's say original. Let's put hash to check. Hash to check. I hate it. I really hate it, but it will have to do. I'm sure you've already thought of a better variable name than that, so please do use it, or a better parameter name, should I say. Okay, so we're going to check our user hashes. And in order to do this, we need to read our file, right? So we need to say helper.read file. Again, this just coming in handy time and time again. And the file name. Now the file name is users.txt. users.txt. And that will return to us a nice big string of all the users. So then we're going to say records. Actually, we need to put data here. Data equals. So we need to store what read file returns in data. And then we're going to say data.split. And we're going to split it on every new line. And then we're going to say for records in records. So for each item in that list, we are going to then split that. So we're going to say, let's say, record equals record dot split, and we're going to split it by the space. Are we storing users by spaces? That is a great question. We're using commas for users. Cool. So we'll where have I gone? Help. Authentication. Yeah. We're going to split it by the comma, not the space. And then we're going to check to see whether hash to check is equal to the thing at position 0. So we're going to say if hash to check is equal to record at position 0, so whatever's at position 0, that will be our username hash. Then we are going to return true. Okay, so check user hashes. I'm going to say check user hash exists. Check user hash exists. I just think that makes it clearer how this is going to happen. User. Okay, and if it returns true, then it already exists. Yeah. And then if it returns false, so if we come through here and we go through all the records and we never return true, then we'll come to the end of the function and we will return false. So we've not found it at all. We've come to the end of the loop, and then we come down here and we just return false. And so that will do this. And so now I'm just going to delete that last log from users.txt. Oh, there it is. So I'm just going to delete this here because that was our Bob line. Now I'm going to do exactly the same as I did just now. So I'm going to log. No, I'm not going to log in. I'm going to try and create an account. This time I'm going to try it with Bob again. Okay, and we can see that it doesn't allow me to put in Bob. I can keep typing in Bob, and it won't let me. As soon as I type in something else, like Eric already exists, of course. So you can tell I only know about 3 names. Toby. Okay, and it allows us to do Toby. So this is working nicely. We're not getting any output though. We're not getting any feedback. So what we need to do is we need to just implement a little bit of feedback into here. So user already exists. So in here, user hash exists. We're going to print out an error message. So if we get down to here, we are going to come and we are going to say helper. I think we have like a feedback. Do we have a feedback? User feedback. There we go. Lovely. So we're going to say helper.userFeedback. And what are our parameters? I don't know. Helper.userFeedback. I think we just typed in the feedback. So let's just say username already exists. Okay, let's just test that. So try and create an account and we'll try Bob. Bob. No, okay, I've not done something. Helper.userFeedback. How does this work? Clear, print message, time sleep. Yeah, okay. So we gave it that, but it's not doing anything. Oh, because it does exist. Duh. This is the wrong place. We need to put it in here. If we find it, then we need to say username already exists. Okay, I'm just being a wally. So if we do find it, if it does match, then we're going to tell the user, sorry, this username already exists. And if we don't find it, then it doesn't exist and everything's fine. Okay, great. So let's run this and let's create an account and let's try Bob. Fantastic. Username already exists. And then create an account. Please enter username. Try Eric. Username already exists. Lovely stuff. I'm just going to put. I'm just going to write error, and then a new line, and then username already exists. Maybe like a few little lines there, and then another new line just to make it look cool. Cool. Look okay. So now when I do this, I can type in Bob, and it says error. Username already exists, and then it goes back to create new account. Okay. I like that. Okay. I guess helper we could maybe do with like a helper dot error to show the user that there's an error, so we could keep that standard. Maybe that's a good idea. But we can think too much about some things. Okay, so that's really good. So now we've got a way of preventing the same username from being added to our database, right? So create account, Bob, username already exists. Okay, now there's one kind of quality of life thing that I'm not quite happy about with our application as it stands. So if I'm to log in as Bob and put in his password, I can't remember any of the other passwords I put in the previous version. There was a Bradley, I think. Maybe his password was his name backwards. That rings a bell. I couldn't tell you what Eric's password is though. I think there might have been a Scott as well. Anyway, we are going to, if I was to generate a password here, right, and and I ask for a 20-character password, and then it says press enter to continue. Now, here would be a really nice place, if from a user's perspective, to actually create like a log, right? So rather than me having to copy this password, even if it copied automatically to the clipboard, okay, let's pretend it did copy to the clipboard, but either way, for it to have to be copied, for me to then select, say, store password, and then go back into it and paste that in there, I think we could save the user a few steps here by making our program a bit cleverer. Because if this person's generating a password, they're probably creating an account on some website, right? They're creating a Google account, or they're creating a I don't know, a Roblox account or something, right? Roblox. I always get laughed at for mispronouncing that. Ah, well, if I say it enough times, I'll pronounce it correctly. And so we want to, we're going to want to store that, right? Especially if we're using this kind of crazy password with loads of symbols and numbers and letters, then we want this to, we're not going to remember this. So we need it stored somewhere. And so I think it makes sense, rather than pressing enter to continue, then going to store password, and then putting in the website name, the username, and then the password, and allowing all this time for this password to get kind of corrupted, if you like. We can cut out the middleman and we can adapt this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to spend a little bit of time just to optimize when we generate our password. So if we go into our generator file, okay, and we come down here to generate password. So this is where it is doing all the generation, yeah? And we wrote this a few versions ago. It's weird coming back to our old code. Okay, we get our password here and we return our password. And I think that's returned to main. So if we come down here, yeah, we've got get secure password. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to store this, because in generator, we are returning that password. We can actually store it in a variable. So in main, I'm going to capture that, and I'm going to say password equals generator.getSecurePassword. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually put some user input here. So actually in the generator itself, we can get rid of the input. Wait, are we not asking for user input? I thought we were. Okay, clearly not. Okay, so let's go back to main. Are we asking for user input here? get secure password generator. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, it returns the password here. Okay, cool. Okay, so in that case, we won't worry about returning the password into main. We'll worry about returning it here. So where are we calling this function? Let's just double click on generate password. Where are we here? Okay, down here. Oh, and we are storing it. Password, of course, because we're printing it. Okay, fantastic. I've remembered what we programmed. So here we say press enter to continue. What we're going to do is we're going to change this, and we're actually going to store this input. So I'm going to say choice equals input, and we're going to say press. We're going to say, would you like to store this password? Would you like to store this password? And then I'll put a yes or no. Okay, and we're going to say if choice is equal to yes, then we are going to return true. Else, we're going to return false. So if they put y, then we will return true, and we'll say, yeah, they want to store their password. And then in main, we will go through some steps in order to store their password. If they press any other key, okay, or if they press YES, if they type in yes, then it will return false because we just want Y. And I'm not going to worry about them getting this wrong. When we put in a UI in, it will kind of iron out those things. So this is all fine. Okay, so this will return true, but we actually want to return the password. We don't want to return true because we need to know that in order to pass it into another function. So I'm going to return password here rather than true because I want to know what that password is. And then in main here, we're saying password equals generator.get secure password, and the return value of this can either be their password or it will be false. And I guess we don't need return password here because it's never gonna get there. It's gonna either hit this or it's gonna hit this. Okay, delightful. So now here's where the good bit comes in. Well, it's all been good, right? But here's where here's where we start getting some momentum until I trip over my words and get caught up in a phrase. So we're going to say if password does not equal false. So I don't know what the password's going to be. I can't account for all the passwords, but I know what I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be false. And if there is a very, very small chance that they ask for a 5-letter password and it literally generates them the string false, but that will not be equal to the Boolean value false. So we're okay. We're okay. Even if they did randomly generate the word false, it would be okay. Okay, if their password is not equal false, then we're going to go straight to storage.store password. Okay, so we're going to do that here as well. But this time, rather than just passing the UID, we need to pass them the password because we need to already have that field complete for them. Okay, so we're going to pass that in here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to edit this store password function to accept the possibility of us passing in a password. So we've got I've said password so many times now. So if they choose to store their passwords in the get secure passwords phase, then we're going to go straight. Oh dear. Oh, I need to drink more water. Then we're going to go straight to the store password phase without them having to select it, without them having to go back to the main menu. So let's jump into storage.store password. So if we come down here, we can see that store password currently is only asking for a unique identifier, but we're going to tell it that also you're going to be asking for a password. Now, this is going to break everything that we've already done if we're not careful about it, because all the other functions where we're storing password are going to be like, but we're not giving the password. We never had to, because 9 times out of 10, they're just going to type in their password. So that we want to ask them for it. And so we're going to set a default value. So we're going to say password is equal to none. Okay. And essentially what this means is that if we don't pass in a value, then it will default to the value of none. And I'm going to put none like that rather than the string. None is actually a value. It's the absence of something. Okay, it's like other languages might call it null, none, void, maybe. It's not zero because zero is a thing. It's not an empty string because that's a string. None is nothing. It's the absence of anything. So it's a weird concept. But so if someone actually had their password as none, this won't mess up anything like that. So now down here, where we have password equals encrypt, right? What we're going to do is we're going to say if password equals none, then we're going to do this. So if we've not passed in a password, and then we're going to say else password equals encrypt, and we're going to use that password that we've passed in. So if it equals none, we're going to ask the user to type in their password. Yeah. Otherwise, we're just gonna use the password that we've been given, and we're going to just encrypt that. The user doesn't need to type it in at all. Okay. And so this should just work. It doesn't like the fact that I've said equals none because obviously I need to put equals equals. That was a rookie error. Got the comparison operator there, not the assignment. Need double equals for comparison. This should just work. This is the great thing about kind of writing your code in a semi-sensible way, is that you can kind of plug things into it, and it should be relatively easy to update things. So let's have a look and see if we can do this. So I'm going to log in as our main man Bob, and we're going to pop in our password of password1. And we are going to generate a password. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so we're going to generate a password. And I'm going to ask for a 25-character password. There we go. Now, I'm being asked would I like to store this password? Yes or no? I don't like the fact that I give my answer on that line. I know it's a tiny thing. I just can't handle it. So I'm just going to jump into generator quickly. And we're just going to pop a little new line at the end here. I'm not going to restart the program. Just knowing it's there is going to be fine for me. So I'm going to say, yes, I would like to store that password. I guess we should like copy this so that we can test that this is working. So, oh no, I balked it. Okay, right, let's try this again. Log in. Bob, I do apologize for this. Control C did not do what I wanted it to do. Okay, there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to go into it. We're going to generate a password. We're going to ask for 25 characters on password. I'm going to copy this by using the right-click menu, not Control C, and copy. Okay, would I like to start this password? It's on a new line. How lovely is that? I didn't do that on purpose, I promise. Here we go. Yes. Okay, add account to password manager. Website name, www.bobspassword.com. Username, Big Bob. And, oh, it didn't like it. Oh, we weren't giving it the UID. Okay, that's a rookie error. Okay, so in main? In where? Encrypt, sorry. In storage. I've forgotten where this is. Where is it? Storage.store password. Yeah, in storage. If we go to our store password, we told it to encrypt, but we never gave it the UID of the person. So we're going to give it the UID. Well, just like in this function here, we give it a string, which this helper.getTitled input will resolve to a string. And we also give it a UID. So we're going to give it a string here, the password, and a UID. Okay, let's try this one more time. And it's open. Again, could have automated this login system by now, so we didn't have to type it in every time. But it's nice to be able to change between accounts. That's my excuse. Generate a password, 25 characters. Okay, there we go. I'm going to copy this so that we can check it in a little bit. Copy. And yes, I would like to store that password. I'm going to store it in www.bobspasswords.com. And my username is going to be Big Bob again. It's a great username. Okay, and it did it. It did it. Now, what would be really nice is when we store a password, it would be nice to get some user feedback. So I'm just going to, at the end here, I'm just going to say helper.user feedback, and we are going to say successfully stored password. Okay, so that just so that we get a little bit of feedback here, and actually, I might do success new line dash new line, and then we'll say stored password and account details. Okay. So let's just make sure that's working. So we will log in, we will type in Bob, password 1, and we're going to generate a password. We're going to get a 25 character long password, like this, and we're going to check that this is working in just a second. We'll copy that. Yes, I'd like to store that password. The website name is www.bobsburgers. That's totally trademark free, I'm sure that's fine. .co.uk. I don't know what you mean. And we're going to call this Chef Bob. Okay, still password and account details. Fantastic. So now we're still logged in, so we can retrieve those passwords. So if I go to, I should be able to enter the website name. I think I typed in Bob's password. I can just type in Bob's maybe, and it should return that to me. So bobspassword.com. Yeah, there we go. And there's the password. And let's just have a look at the most recent one, Bob's Burger. Bob's Burgers. Okay, there we go. And so we've got the password there. And if I just, I don't know, paste my password in here just to check, C apostrophe speech mark, and we can see C apostrophe speech mark. So that is the password. So that is working. That is being passed in really nice and easily. And it's just enhancing the user experience that's going to make our app just that little bit nicer to use and a little more thoughtfully programmed. And that's really a really important thing about programming, is thinking about how the user is going to interact and use your application, rather than just being like, oh, they'll figure it out, it'll be fine. But testing it and being like, oh, actually, I'd really like this feature, and being able to just implement it, just being able to go for it and just put it in. Okay, I think that's fine. So I'm gonna find a way to do this, to copy this. This will take 2 minutes to actually put the code in for it. We have tested this so that we can now not have duplicate usernames, okay? And we've also added in a little bit of more usability to it. So all that's really left is to put a user interface on this. Now, I really hate working with user interfaces in Python, but I'm seeing it as a positive thing in order to develop my skill set in doing this and using this. So tomorrow, or next episode, or next version, whenever you're watching, we will be doing that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for showing up, for dedicating some of your time to programming, and I hope to see you in the next version. Thanks for watching.